good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to a dope video. Today I got an original sleight for y'all. It is called the drop switch. This is one of the first things I came up with, and it is nothing, how do I say this? It is nothing revolutionary, but it is groundbreaking. I like that. No, what I mean is it is nothing crazy mechanics wise. It is basic, but it is revolutionary if you ask me. It is a game changer. It is a very simple double lift switch, but it is, brilliant. You guys would have probably seen this in my performance on Spidey's channel. I believe I used it there, the drop switch. And I love this move, man. I'm in love with this move because it solves one of the biggest problems with the double lift, in my opinion, and the double lift switch that is used often. Oh my God, I use this thing all the time. Standing up at the table, it is an amazing, amazing switch. And you guys are gonna love it. It's very easy, and it's just like, it's almost like an idea. Like, I don't even wanna call it a sleight or a move. I guess there's a little bit of its own mechanics, but it's just the concept that is really key here. So this is the drop switch. This is an idea I came up with a long time ago, and I've been refining it, and it is great. One of my favorite things that one of just my favorite ideas. Like, it's so simple, but it's just so great, and I just love this idea of the drop switch. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, guys, so we will take the top card. We will use the 3 of spades, as you can see, and we'll leave that right there. Actually, here's what we'll do. We'll put that in the middle of the deck, and just like that, it'll actually jump to the top. All right, time for some exposure on the drop switch. So we will take the Queen of Clubs. I'll show you that here. And I will place it down there, go into the middle, and it is on top. So, time for the breakdown. Guys, this is literally one of the greatest things that I have ever added to my magic. The drop switch is simple. It solves one basic problem that I see way too much and that we all have. This right here. All right, so I'll take the 4 of spades. You can see that's a 4 of spades. That's your card here. All right, we'll leave that on the table. And then we'll put it in the middle, and it comes back to the top. I hated that moment. I had a lot of moments where I'm handling a double, you know, in 2 hands or whatever the case may be. That was the lamest color change ever. Thanks for that. Anyway, let's switch that out here. So I have a lot of moments where I was handling a double, you know, obviously pretending it was a single. And then I'd need to put the card down on the table. And obviously I wanted to do a switch. I wanted to ditch the card back on top. But imagine this. Imagine I'm handling this card like this, and then I say, here's what we'll do. We'll leave that card there. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I see this all the time. Someone flips a double, and then they go like this, and then they drop it on the table, right? If we think about this, if we actually have a card, why wouldn't we just leave it on the table? If we have a card, especially if we have it away from the deck, if we don't have the deck in our hand, why would we pick up the deck just to put the card back on and then drop it? Why wouldn't we just do that? And that's the problem that the drop switch aims to solve. So essentially, all you're doing is, in the action of putting the card down, you're flicking it off on top of the deck. Okay, you're flicking it out of this hand on top of the deck as you leave the card down. So you never have to put that card on the deck. You basically are just aligning the card in the deck, using that as cover, and then springing this card onto the top of the deck. Now, it sounds difficult, but it's actually pretty easy to get the hang of. So here's the first thing. You want to grip the card in a bit of a biddle grip, okay? So these 3 fingers on the front, thumb on the back, index on top. And then you're gonna need to practice flicking that card off the thumb. So you're applying a bit of backwards pressure with the thumb, and then the index here, and you're flicking it back off the thumb. So you're just letting it riffle off the thumb like that, okay? So it's really quite easy. You just flick that back card off the thumb. So if you're doing a regular double lift, whatever the case might be, here's how I like to get into that sort of biddle grip. Once I flip the card, I'll grip it from the thumb with the thumb and middle finger in the bottom left and top right corner. I'll come over top with the index, flip the card, okay, so it's face up like that, and then I can adjust the grip into biddle grip, okay? So basically, once I've picked up the card, I'll flip it. I usually do a full spin and then back, but all you need to do is a half spin, and then the ring finger and pinky finger are gonna come on the top edge with the middle finger, and the thumb is gonna slide along the back to the middle, and you can hold that card in a nice middle grip, okay? So one more time, rotate, ring and middle finger come on the front, index comes to this edge, and the thumb slides along the back to your middle grip position. And now you can hold the card like this, and that's that. A lot of times for me though, I have the card, like I said, away from the deck, and so it's quite casual for me to sort of pick up the card, position it how I want. But again, even then you can see I still kind of do this thing where I pick up the card and shift it into middle grip this way. You know, it's a nice little moment, and it doesn't really feel like too much. And you know, you don't want to make it feel like you're handling a double like this the whole time. So just being kind of nonchalant with it. And I find that doing this, you know, just kind of makes it feel like a single card rather than just taking it straight into middle grip like that. So I do kind of like to go like that and set into my middle grip. And you're only holding it like this for a split second. You only want to get into that grip just before you're about to ditch it on top of the deck, so you don't feel like, oh, you're holding a double, right? So here's how you get the cover for the move. So the important thing is that you need to start off a little bit to your right, okay? So there's a lot of great sort of justifications and ways to do that. Again, it depends on your situation, but let's say I'm doing a simple double lift off the top. So say you picked the Queen of Diamonds here, you can see that. So all I'm doing is doing my little spin thing, getting it into middle grip, and then pointing. Pointing's probably your best bet. You take the deckhand, you say you're Queen of Diamonds, because you want both hands to be off to your right side. You definitely do not want one hand here and one hand here, because then you're gonna have to go like this, and like this, and that doesn't really solve our problem because we're still doing some weird unnecessary motion. Why would we come all the way over here just to bring the card back out there, right? We want both hands to be over here. Now what you're gonna do is as you come over, you're kind of doing this thing where you're tilting both, because we're pointing, presumably. You don't have to point, sometimes it'll just be, you know, you see the Queen of Diamonds over here and I'll bring this hand over, but pointing is a great justification. So you see the Queen of Diamonds. Now, as you turn, you're tilting both wrists. So the deckhand's facing up and this is facing down. As you're doing that, once you get to about the middle of your body, you want the hands to come perfectly aligned over each other so that the card blocks the deck, okay? Your wrist tilt, you're gonna be down a bit like this. And that's gonna allow the card to kind of bounce off here, and it'll slide forward and land perfectly on the deck, okay? So I'd say tilt down about like that, okay? Not, you know, vertical, but a nice little 45. So you point, you come back, and at this point they get straight, you flick the card off, and this hand continues this way, and this hand continues that way, okay? So it kind of looks like this, and you put the card down, okay? Now, this is using the principle of a big motion hides a smaller motion as well, because I'll be honest, it's very hard to get a perfect invisible flick, right? Because even if the deck's perfectly covered, you see a little something from the side, right? You're not shooting the card perfectly straight back. So this really helps cover that action. And of course on camera it's a lot easier to be caught, but in person this flies totally well. Basically, you want to think about it. You'd be coming from here to here if you're putting it down. So all we're doing is coming from here to here and down, okay? So we're not really altering that path, right? We're just coming and down. That's why if your hands are like this, then you have to come like this and then like this. It seems very strange. But if we do that all in one nice motion, it's totally justified. You want the deck, when you do this, to be about, let's see here, about 3 to 4 inches above the deck, okay? And that is enough distance that your audience will know that that card never touched the deck. The idea here is we're making it feel like we never got close to the deck. Obviously we are getting close, you know, 3 to 4 inches, but it's not gonna feel like it because this happened so quickly. It doesn't feel like we ever got anywhere near the deck, which is the whole purpose. So about 3 to 4 inches. And as you come here, you're gonna get over top and you're gonna flick that card off the thumb, and it's gonna land right on top of the deck. So make sure you have these fingers extended on all these edges a little bit above, so they'll act as sort of a basket to catch that card. Because the biggest thing you wanna avoid is having the card obviously land like this, not squared up. Luckily with all those fingers there, if you come over and it doesn't get perfectly square, you can, you know, easily kind of square it up with those hands, right? But that's kind of what you're practicing here. The idea is that in that action of the cover, you can get it to fling off and square up by the time your hand gets out of view and they can see the deck again, okay? Again, the tilt here is down a bit and you want it to be about at eye line. Like that's a good estimate, about pointing the back of the deck at eye line so that you can come over, this can get perfectly out of view, you can do the fling and put that down, okay? So that is basically the drop switch, okay? Again, it's a very simple double lift move, but it's a very nice subtlety that can do a lot for your Magic, because think about how great that is. That you showed them the card, you never put it anywhere near the deck, you put it right down, and now, you know, it can end up right on top or wherever you want it to. Now, I think this is really good, even if you're doing a simple double lift in like an ambitious card or something, or when you need to put the card down, and so you don't have to go like this and then like this, right? It's just, instead, you can just take the card and you say, yeah, you picked your 6 of spades here, okay, we'll leave that there. And you know, you can go from there. In terms of some subtleties, we never want to bring that card too close to the top of the deck, right? The subtlety here is that the card is staying far away from the deck, and that's what makes it seem like we couldn't have possibly ditched this card, because we never had anywhere to ditch it, right? That sway from right to left is a super important subtlety. Bigger motion covers a smaller motion, and it'll cover up, it'll help justify how we can bring these hands together for that split second. So we definitely don't want to be like this. You know, if you're like this in front of you, then again, you're still having to do this kind of thing. That's weird. So if you're off to the right, you know, it's all fluid. You can see how much more fluid that looks. And then that point to the card is probably my favorite justification to get your hands both over to this side. In terms of body language with this, guys, natural, smooth is the name of the game, okay? So just come from here to here. Natural and smooth is the keys. You want to make sure that it just feels like you're taking that card and putting it down on the table from one position to another, okay? But I'm telling you, this move flies so hard and it is amazing. In terms of some uses and other ideas, I want to talk about a few ways to load the doubles. So one great option is the top change, and that's pretty much all I use the top change for, is to load doubles. And it's some of my favorite things to do, because a lot of times I'll have someone pick a card and they sign it, but then I need to load it as a double. So I can just say, you know, what was the card you chose again? It was the 8 of spades, right? So I'll leave that right on top here. You take the 8 of spades, and now I've loaded a double. So all we're doing there, of course, is as we're pointing, we're doing a top change. So now their card is on top of the deck. I guess we'll use the 8 of spades. So their card is now on top of the deck. You have a random card in your hand, and now at this moment, what's nice is you can do a little push off and get a break under that card, so when you drop this one, you can get into the double instantly, and now you've loaded it. And now we can take our card, middle grip, say 8 of spades, whatever we gotta do. So that is a great way of loading and getting into a double if you know the trick doesn't already start in a double. But my absolute favorite way is using Madison's Mad Switch as a load for a double. This is one of the cleanest sleight of hand things you can do. It's a little ballsy, risky, but it's amazing. Basically, let's say the card's handed out for signature. They're signing it. What you're gonna do is you're gonna steal a card into Tenkai. Okay, I'm gonna make a Tenkai video soon, but for now, I'll link Daniel Madison's Mad Switch in the description so you can learn how to do this. As you do that, you put the deck away. So now, you have, you know, to them, you have no contact with the deck. You take their card back in your left hand and you say, all right, King of Hearts. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna have it kind of in the front of your hands, and it's important, you wanna have the deck just off to your left a little bit, because you're gonna be reaching across for the deck in a second. So you say King of Hearts. And remember, you could have chosen any one of these cards, right? And that's the switch, okay? So what you do is as you bring this hand over, you're kicking this card back into a gambler's cop. As this hand comes over top to reach, you're just stealing that card with the thumb, and then you can use it as cover, okay? So at speed, it's basically like, you know, you could have chosen any card you want here, you know, any one of these. And now you're in this position, and all I do is another very nice subtlety in case they suspect anything fishy. Again, we're using this as a load, not a switch, because the switch is gonna happen later. And I love this because, you know, we're nowhere near the deck. I just pull that card back and align it, and I'm in middle grip, and I flash the card and I show them. I don't, you know, say, look, it's still your King of Hearts, but I flash it. Now I pick up the deck. Again, the deck has been nowhere in play this whole time. And now they're, you know, they were just handling this card, and I was nowhere near the deck, so to them, this is still a single card. So now we say, remember, one last time, you can see your card, you sign this, drop switch, place it down, and that's gotta be one of the cleanest sequences. I mean, they handled the card, it was a single card, we were nowhere near the deck, and then we do the drop switch, and you're too many steps ahead. So that's one of my favorite uses of the drop switch, that combination. All right, guys, that is it for the drop switch. I hope you see how strong this move can be and how many problems it solves with that whole double lift situation. So I love the drop switch. I use it all the time. You can use it totally at the table, standing up, right? You just say like this, and you can take the card out, you know, do whatever you want, put it in the middle, whatever. There's so many uses for the drop switch, and you can just build it into like any routine. It's as easy as saying, you know, we just need to show them their card one last time, do the drop switch, and we're good. Like if you're standing, all I do is, since I'm over here, I'm gonna turn back to face them again, and that's when I do the drop switch, right? And now I've switched the card. So brilliant, brilliant switch. So biggest things, guys, make sure you have your angles. You get good at flicking that card and having it land straight on top of the deck, and you just kind of get the fluidity of that motion, okay? So welcome all the new subs. I really appreciate everyone for the support, all the comments, everything I absolutely love. So I hope you guys get some good value out of this video. This is a lot of fun for a tutorial, and this is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite ideas of mine. So anyway, make sure you guys drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.